Greetings folks, this is the Avios Bush Mule from fyOGnG. I bought it in the recent fyOGnG sale. I haven't flown many planes with twins, and I thought this would be an awesome sort of camera carrying plane and an awesome plane to take videos of as well. It's a big one. It's 1500mm wingspan, not an enormous wing area, but it also has a cargo door for dropping parachutes and things like that. I've had a bit of fun dropping a little camera out of a parachute. I'll show you more of that in the next video. That's good fun. If you can get the camera to stop spinning and actually work. Really nicely designed and nicely built plane. I wasn't absolutely in love with it to start off with. And the main reason was that it has a very short flight time. It sucks through the batteries really quickly with the big draggy shape, twin motors. And part of the reason is that it comes with these enormous foam wheels, and they create a lot of drag through the air. So what I've done a few mods to it. I'm trialling sort of smaller wheels, and they work perfectly fine. They're excellent, and it extends the flight time by quite a few minutes. I think initially I was getting about 6 or 7 minutes with the big tyres, and now I can fly for something like 11 minutes on a 3000 4S battery, and that's only using about, just over half the battery. There are a few other little niggles as well, mostly to do with the wheels and the steering. Parts of it are not quite strong enough, I think. With a few little mods it works really well. Let's have a closer look at them. First thing I did was cover all the leading edges and a fair bit of the wing with heavy duty packing tape, and that just stops finger marks getting in there and little dings and things like that. I've tried to balance the props and motors as much as I can. I could probably do a better job actually, but I'm still getting a little bit of jelly video, a bit of vibration. They've got very narrow prop shafts there and haven't got the proper mounting gear, I don't think. They could do better with that. But can always experiment with props and better balancing. So one of the first problems I had was with the way the wheels are held on. This is the normal big wheel. See the difference in size for the one I'm using at the moment. They're just held on by a little circlip in here. And just while I was taxiing around in some sort of roughish grass, I suppose, the circlip came off and the wheel fell off, and it's very difficult to find a circlip out in the field, or even to find the right size circlip in a hardware shop to replace that. So I thought that was too weak. So what I've done is, this is the little spacer, locking spacer I suppose, that was on the inside of the wheel. So that was on the other side of the wheel, so I've just taken that and put it on the outside of the wheel, and if I have to I'd put a little spacer on the axle in there. This is just a little bit of plastic tubing to centre the wheel. So I've also filed a bit of a flat on the axle so that the grub screw sort of bites down onto that flat, and that's never going to come off. The next problem I had was with this steering servo here. The one supplied is just a plastic gear 9-gram servo. Takes a bit of a beating. That's the steering arm there that goes down to the wheel there. Mine's stripped after the first couple of bouncy landings, so I've swapped that out for a metal gear servo. So some of the programming, there's the bomb door coming down. It's a pretty cool feature. I have flaps on a slider and a little bit of elevator compensation as well. Tends to pitch up just a little bit when the flaps go down, so you need about 10% elevator compensation. I also have a little bit of rudder mixed in with the ailerons just to make the turns nice and axial. I also have differential thrust just for taxiing. I don't really want to use it up in the air, it doesn't need it, but it helps a lot with taxiing on the ground. I have that on a switch so I can turn that one off. It all just bolts together pretty much. They say you can glue in the tail if you want to. I've just got mine bolted in and that's absolutely fine. 2 big bolts go through here holding the tail and the rudder on. I see they've got nice little reinforcing patches around the elevator control horn there. Not so with the rudder one, but that's not as important, I suppose. All the hinges are okay. You've got proper barn door flaps that drop right down to 90 degrees. They're very small flaps, so they're not overactive. You can sort of slam them down as much as you want without upsetting it too much. My flying weight with the 3000 4S up in the nose there turns out to just over 2 kilograms, so that's about 2.1 kilograms I think, something like that, which is about as light as you could fly it, I think. One thing to be aware of, if you take the battery out, it's going to sit down on its tail, and if you flip it upside down to work on it, it's going to rest on these propellers, so you need to put just something underneath here to hold the propellers up off the ground. And another thing that you need to pay attention to, if you just assign the cargo door to a two-way switch, it'll be straining its little heart out in one of the positions, either the up position or the down position, depending on the way your radio sets up. So you need to adjust the endpoints to stop the juddering and straining. The struts are very nice, they're just sort of pinned in. You can just pop them on those pins and put the little split pin in, and that holds them in very nicely, and you can easily pull them apart. We've got a little door up here for access in. Not a lot of access with the strut on, but it's easy enough to pull the strut off if you have to get in there. Just 2 bolts holding the wing on. There's a couple of lugs that fit into a plastic fitting up the front, so that's very easy to pull off. The wing is in 3 sections. We've got this middle section that includes the motors, ESCs in there. That's all bolted on. And then you add the outer section of the wing, which is a very nice design. That's why we've got this big aileron and short little flap. All the LEDs come as stock. We've got white ones, we've got a red one for port, green one for starboard over the other side over there, flashing red one there, all very cool. I found it reasonably tricky to land. It sort of tends to bounce quite easily, so you really have to concentrate on flaring just right and coming in with enough speed to try and grease the landing. Not something I'm very good at just yet, but get the occasional good one, which is always a thrill. As I said, it didn't thrill me to start off with because of the short flight times, but now I think it's brilliant. I love it. With the smaller wheels, less drag. I think what I'll do is I'll eventually get some more bushy type wheels for here, for the main gear, which is the same size as the provided nose wheel. That'll be a good compromise. I've had a lot of fun putting the camera everywhere, up on the nose, out under the wing, out on the selfie stick. I'll show you all of that in the next video. Very, very cool angles of the plane. Makes a great plane to put cameras on. Be good for FPV, I suppose, once you've got the longer flight time sorted out. So I did a duration test with this one, with the smaller wheels on, to see if it was more efficient than the big wheels, and it worked out to about 135 milliamp hours per minute, which is much better than what it was before. I didn't actually measure it, but I'm getting, a good 50% more flight time, I think. Compare that to a Volantex Ranger 2000, which gets about 45 milliamp hours per minute. Way more efficient. I think I got 45 minutes from one 3000 4S battery using the Volantex Ranger. But this is a different plane altogether. This is designed for taking off, dropping something out of the hatch, coming in and landing, doing touch and goes, carrying cameras, all that sort of stuff. Good fun plane, I really like it now.